Coming to you from our opulent and luxurious 4x8 refurbished room closet at the national headquarters in Indianapolis. With duct tape studio lights and a mic that you barely can hear, we hope to entertain and educate you. This is the Tango Alpha Lima podcast.
They call me crazy cause I'm facing all my giants. They try to scare me into thinking I can fight it. They tell me I should never even think of trying. But that's just me, I'm gonna live out in defiance.
Hello, and welcome back to the Tango Alpha Lima podcast. I don't want to foreshadow here, but is our song like kind of sea shanty? It's got a sea shanty feel to it, I feel. Nonetheless,
maybe a pond shanty.
A pond
shanty?
There you go.
Interesting.
He's just making things up now, but Jeff is a master of his entire domain, so we'll get to all that later. Ashley Garbolja Maldonado out of Washington, D.C., our little volcano that is ready to burst. Do not let her kind-hearted looks confuse you. She is ready to burst. And Jeff Daly has already warned me he's going to go off on a tirade, which, looking at the topics, is going to come as a big surprise to me because I don't see anything in here that's even remotely worthy of that. But Ashley, how's everything going in Washington, D.C.? Still there?
Still here, present accounted for. Have walked the perimeter of the fence. It's still there, everybody.
It worked so well the last time.
There is snow, by the way. I have never seen so many people not know how to react to snow, but it's been really cute. I've been love watching my friends on Facebook. Oh, the snow! My kids are playing snow. Snowball fights, snowman on the Capitol building. Blah blah blah. I'm like, well, okay, great. I'm like, I grew up in Northeast Ohio. Like, this little baby few inches here.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing.
Nothing. As super producer Holly can tell you, we had nothing but 3 days of warning about the feet and feet and feet of snow that was coming, and we got 4 inches, tops. All I know is that my kids laid down to do snow angels, and there was grass poking through, so it's a little difficult. Jeff, how are you doing, buddy?
Oh my God, there's so much snow here in Los Angeles, but I don't get invited to those parties.
Poor Jeff. Not getting any invites. What's going on?
No love letters, no invites.
Nothing. We gotta get the love letters fired up to Tango Alpha Lima at Legion.org. Those are all sent to Jeff, and those of you that want to send pictures, don't do it. Just please do not do it. What, Jeff?
Just doing the camera.
Is that what we're doing?
Oh yeah,
right.
This is a Valentine's Day adjacent show, huh?
No.
Is that coming up?
Yeah, you should take note of that because you're a married man.
I am a married man, and I guess I probably ought to be heading out to the romantic Walmart purchase place anytime now. All right, so we are going to start to. Like I said, today's show is fairly light, but Jeff is still going to find a way to go off, so I'm looking forward to it. But we're going to start with Ashley. Ashley, what's the news topic you got for us today?
Well, do I have a treat for you all? It is, it's not smart. No, it's not. So, for those of you who are following or happen to read Army Times and maybe are at Fort Bliss or in Texas or a soldier, let's just say that 11 soldiers have been hospitalized. Why, you may say? Soldiers tried to drink alcohol in the field, but ingested antifreeze instead. Way to go. Way to go.
The best thing about that story was the initial report was they had been poisoned, and it was oh my God, they've been poisoned.
Soldiers poisoned? Self-induced poisoning because they couldn't hold off for a 10-day field exercise. Come on. And so instead, they accidentally ingest antifreeze according to toxicology tests. And that was initially what was briefed to reporters, right? So all of the soldiers were assigned to the 11th Air Defense Artillery Brigade, and are still being treated at William Beaumont Army Medical Hospital at Fort Bliss. 2 remain seriously ill and have been admitted to intensive care unit for their conditions. And just when you think.
Yeah. So I don't want to sit inside my glass house and throw rocks too far, but when a bunch of infantrymen on day 10 of an FTX mix up some hooch from those like dehydrated fruits or whatever, you expect it. But I think if you're responsible for a Patriot missile system, you hold off. Am I crazy there, Jeff?
Yeah.
I have three observations. One, I had a really long 9-month career as a bartender, and I can tell you that I don't think I could make a drink so bad that if I put a little antifreeze in it, people wouldn't spit it out. I think I've never put antifreeze in my mouth, but I'm thinking it doesn't taste like a rum and coke. I'm just guessing.
Right.
The second thing was this would be just standard level stupid if there wasn't a friggin' warrant officer in the crew. There is a warrant officer in the crew. That is a long-term, supposedly outstanding person in the military to get a warrant, to be a warrant officer. So I'm shocked at that. And then
See what you did there.
Then my third shocked.
No. The warrant to the warrant officer. Outstanding.
Yeah.
Clever.
Yeah. You got to keep up sometimes.
Yeah, this is some higher level thinking, people. Stay close.
And then the third thing that I was talking about is I was wondering, maybe it was cold weather training and they were being proactive. I don't know. The antifreeze.
Antifreeze causes kidney damage and leads to organ failure. Not smart. Don't understand how you confuse that. I don't understand how a 10-day exercise can make you that desperate. I don't know.
I need to know more about this too, because like in order for 11 people to drink antifreeze, you would think they would have to be like, let's do shots and I'll do it at the same time. Otherwise, one dumbass drank the antifreeze and was like, oh, this is good. And then the next one, like, I'm flummoxed by it. I don't really understand. I'm not trying to be holier than thou. We've all violated General Order Number 1 for the most part, but antifreeze when you have a missile system?
Well, I don't know how she knows, but super producer Holly is informing us that antifreeze tastes syrupy sweet. Don't know how she knows.
She's a longtime purveyor of upscale antifreeze. I mean, she's not going. She's not going down to CarMax to get that. Like, she's getting the good stuff. Insanity.
She's getting invited to the parties, huh, Jeff? No.
All right. So, I love the fact that it's a warrant officer, 2 NCOs, and then 8 Joes that got this, and at least one of them, by way of rumor, was an E2. Like, I'm thinking that E2 is probably skating with maybe half pay for 2 months. The warrant officer is done. Like, he is DUNN done. I don't even know how they handle that one. Like, what do you think? I mean, I hope these NCOs, are E5s and not 6s, because that jumps with, how much the punishment's going to be. But none of them end up over an E4, right? I mean, I can't imagine.
I don't know
that. I don't really. I worked for a warrant officer, and I still don't really get that. So they're not a commission. So, but if it had been a commissioned officer, just gone. Bye. See ya. Don't know what. Good to know you. A warrant officer, I don't know what they do. Like, what happens to them?
That's the beauty of being a warrant officer. Nobody ever knows.
Nobody ever knows.
They're
a mysterious
that
group.
guy. Hi, Chief.
Hi, Chief. Hi, ma'am. Hi, sir. Bye.
I don't know what. Nobody ever. They're never responsible to anyone. No one's ever sure what they're doing. Like, at least that's my experience with them. We had a warrant that was like a supply guy once, and he was spectacular. But he's the only one I've ever seen that had an actual job. As far as I know, they just kind of. It's like just finding a gazelle in the middle of the city. Like, you're just like, how did that dude get here? I have no idea what they do. Either way,
we're gonna find out the limits of their NJP-ness or their UCMJ.
I mean, it's bad enough when you do some really dumb stuff and it ends up being an Article 15. when you show up in the Army Times drinking antifreeze, things are not going your way. I think we can all agree, not going to be promoted above peers. Done.
Yeah.
Done.
Also,
All right,
done
let's-
is spelled D-O-N-E for our listeners and viewers.
Oh,
It was spelled.
okay.
It was not spelled correctly earlier. I'm not a grammar Nazi. I am dyslexic. But I thought
Well,
that was hilarious. Thank you, Mark.
Let's
Thank
take
you.
a quick break so
Do a
I can go
replay.
refill my glass of antifreeze, and then we'll be back with you.
It's
Diddly,
cold.
diddly.
The American Legion is Veterans Strength in America. We're in your community, supporting veterans, service members, and their families, enriching the lives of young people, and promoting citizenship and patriotism. Our members are passionate about these core values. Help strengthen America by joining the American Legion today. For more information, go to legion.org/join.
All right, Jeffrey, here's a topic not as humorous, but very interesting to me because I end up on the receiving end of some very bad repercussions of these. But, Jeff, what do you got for us?
All right, Mr. Stevie, this was actually kind of the moment you were waiting for.
Good.
I told you, so unexpected.
Yeah.
The only reason I'm sitting here today is because I sat in a room at a national convention and heard people whining and moaning and complaining about what the Legion should be, how crappy it is, and how in their great minds they can cure all. And today, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to preach to you how you can make this happen. You, every Legionnaire out there, every one of you with the funny little hat, you have the power to change the Legion. It's not in the good book, but it is a good book, and it's called the Book of Resolutions. And you can contribute to this book. All you have, the Legion, the American Legion, national headquarters organization, in their infinite wisdom, in their training mindset, has an entire page dedicated to you. And for those of you who don't want to read the show notes, it's super easy. It's legion.org/resolutions. That's it, /resolutions. You can go to the resolutions. You can find digital archives of other people who are successful and not just complaining at the bar about how terrible everything is, but they wrote it down in solvency. Look it up. It's a word. It means actually proactively solving a problem. And they typed out a resolution. They passed it at their post. They got it. Some of them gave it to the district so they can get a little ahead of the game to get it through the department, and it got sent to national. And it became a thing. Maybe it's something you've heard of. Boise State started in Illinois. They're not even from Michigan, and they got it done, so I know you can too. And I myself have personally written a resolution. I was a boot Legionnaire, because I still am, and I did this like a couple years ago. I wrote it, got it passed through my post. I sent it to the district because I'm polite. It went to the department. It got passed at national, and it got sent back for study. So the process isn't perfect, but at least I didn't just sit there on Facebook and go, you know what we need to do? If we don't change this, no one's going to join our organization. I took action, and I'm begging all of you to do that today. Legion.org/resolutions. That's where you go. So I'm going to ask my friends.
You've been listening to
What?
Brother Jeff and his American Legion Revival Ministries.
Yes.
You too can.
Please subscribe.
I mean,
Wow.
I get a little worked up
Brother.
about this on both ends. I don't like people complaining that don't do anything. And on the other end, I don't like when I do something that's brilliant. And I'm not saying it's brilliant just because I did it. I'm saying I wouldn't have done it if it wasn't brilliant. And it gets kind of, get some speed bumps along the way. But I know, and Mark, you have to read these, and they run the gamut. It doesn't have
Yes.
to be a world-changing thing, does it?
No. Well, to your first point, though, you're 100% right. There's nothing that annoys me more than somebody that's like, you know what the Legion should do? And then no matter what comes next, I don't want to hear it. If you think that the Legion should do that, then go out and make the Legion do that. Mark Seavey doesn't decide how the Legion runs things. You guys decide how the Legions run things. I have to follow the resolutions. If I'm not in compliance with the resolutions, I'm out of a job. The generals in this man's army are the blue cappers out there writing the resolutions. Everybody at the national headquarters is just a foot soldier. We're doing what you guys tell us to do. So if there's something you want to see done, write it up. And the resolutions, you can get a lot of help on writing resolutions. We are more than eager to help you write them. But Jeff could not have been more evangelical about the importance of resolutions than you just were. So, Jeff, again, kudos. This is becoming a bad recurring habit of mine, praising you, and I'm not at all comfortable with it. I'm suffering pretty bad moral injury right now. But Ashley, what do you got for us?
I went through a lot of emotions there. I felt a lot of things.
Yeah.
Feel a little bit more connected to whatever is up above because of Jeff. And people, very important. If you want to make change, be the change. Make the change happen. Don't be a bystander in your own story or at your own post. Make stuff happen. So that's my takeaway from Jeff Daly.
Yeah, Jeff was great. How he did not work the lyrics to "Man in the Mirror" into that whole diatribe is completely beyond me. Like, if there was ever a place for you to drop a "Man in the Mirror" reference,
take a look
it
at
was
yourself.
Right there. Take a look at yourself.
Time notwithstanding, it could have happened. I'm just saying.
Wow, Jeff.
Na, 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 na. Yeah. This is really opportune because we're going to get into some fun musical things moving forward.
Yes, we are. As Miss Ashley is alluding to, the Navy Band decided to take a Taylor Swift song and turn it into a sea shanty. As much as I love the singing of Miss Gorbolja Maldonado, I think it would be best if you heard it for yourself. So let's take a couple of seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Navy Band singing Taylor Swift sea shanties.
I'm telling you, we are never, ever, ever getting back together. We are never, ever, ever getting back together. You go talk to your friends, talk to my friends, talk and talk to me. But we are never, ever, ever getting back together.
So we have now listened to the Taylor Swift sea shanties. And as we kind of talked about before, I didn't know a sea shanty was a separate genre of music. I honestly kind of just thought that it was Irish music that you listen to in a bar. I mean, What Would You Do with a Drunken Sailor is a classic, and I don't even really care for the Navy all that much, but it's a classic. It is what it is. But Jeff, first of all, let's go with, what did you think of the Navy's rendition of this?
I'm never, ever, ever going to be able to unhear that. That's all I have to say about that. I was unaware of this genre of music. It's funny because somebody just last week said to me, I have a playlist of sea shanties to make one drop their panties. And I said, interested in the latter portion, never heard of the former portion. What is that? But so this was my first formal introduction to the sea shanty, and I don't know if TSwift is going to be happy with it or drop a lawsuit. I just can't decide.
Yeah, Ashley, what did you think about this?
Okay, so I've really been following the whole TikTok mayhem and like all of the crazy actually some of them are really good, I'm not gonna lie.
The ocean spray thing was great.
Yeah, like some of them sound really appealing. I thought this was an interesting take on Taylor Swift, and I think it's ironic because doesn't she have an album called Folklore? And then they like go ahead and then they use a song that isn't from that album, if I'm not mistaken.
I would like to note for the record, by the way, that you said Taylor Swift had an album named, and then Holly nodded vigorously, and Jeff and I just stared at the computer. So I think we've outed ourselves as non-Taylor Swift devotees.
Listen, I'm just going to be very clear with you all. I grew up with a family member who used to and still is obsessed with Taylor Swift, and I have listened from Okay, it's my brother. All right, my brother loves Taylor Swift.
Oh
Everybody.
no.
And he's honestly, he wouldn't care. I'm gonna make sure he listens to this episode. But like, I have learned everything about Taylor Swift. And she's a cool lady. Like, she does a lot of cool stuff. I think she's got a very diverse music set. But I also think the Navy band are a bunch of talented folks. I just think that there's certain lanes. We gotta just kind of mosey in lanes. And the sea shanty is commonly sung when you work. So it's just like this very interesting. I'm kind of at a loss. Like I don't know.
I have never been I've never been I'll be honest, that part of the story didn't move the needle for me as much. The actual recording of the sea shanty. Yeah. But I've never been a fan of the bands in the military, just in general, because they're sort of outside the military. They're not really. But the redemption story here for me, and I hope for everyone, is that the Navy band got blistered, absolutely blistered on Twitter. And instead of just taking it and laying down and being like, okay, probably a bad call, maybe we shouldn't have done the Taylor Swift. They actually took the tweets and they did one of those mean tweets videos where the band members read the tweets. And I'm actually going to take a couple seconds here so that you can hear some of those responses.
This is why we make fun of you. Superbly awful. At Space Force DOD, any chance we can fire this into the sun? I feel the same way.
All right, so did the Navy band cover themselves in glory? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Navy band wins this week as far as I'm concerned. You're better than Space Force. You're better than everybody for this week. Navy band, hats off to you, my friends. Excellent job.
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to agree with you. I think, it's very, it's a great tactic to just take I forgot the martial art where you take someone else's energy and just use it against them. They just read those mean tweets in very calm, stoic way. And it was funny. Like, that was funny. And I think they should do other genres of music and get blistered more just so we can see them read mean tweets. That's my take on it.
It was a level of self-awareness that I never expected from the military. And I don't mean not just the Navy band. I'm talking the military. We tend to not be self-aware enough to pull this off. Navy band, you did it. You did it, Navy band. Ashley?
I have to say my favorite of the tweets, the most creative, was posted, and it was, "There will be plenty of time for work songs in Leavenworth when you're all brought to justice for making this." It's like that.
Yeah.
She said at the end there, when you were brought to justice for making this song. I mean, yes.
And then they're like, "I give it to you. That's pretty good." That's funny.
I like the just the generic, "God, you guys are embarrassing." That's a tough tweet to read, man. Like, I'm sure we get emails like that into our Tango Alpha Lima podcast thing, and thankfully I don't see them. Like, you guys are embarrassing. Navy band, awesome. Awesome.
Anchors away, my friends. Anchors away.
All right. Well, on that, we will take our second commercial break while Jeff Daly sings us some sea shanties, and we will be right back.
If you care about disabled veterans and children in need, and we know you do, donate today to the American Legion Veterans and Children's Foundation. Any amount helps. Donate online at legion.org/donate.
All right, we are back, and rapid fire. All right, let's start with this story, which is, I don't even know what to make.
Whoa. Hold on. Did Ashley add something to the rapid fire intro?
What did she?
Did you just do that, or did you add something extra?
Did she blow off her pistols?
I thought I heard a little something extra.
Oh.
All right.
What?
I don't know.
Are you
awesome.
insinuating that I pass gas on this podcast?
Not till now. But
But now that accusation is hanging in the air like a
That is
stale
not true,
Ashley
listeners and
Garbolja.
viewers. I typically own my flatulence, but in this case, no. I was trying to be cool with cross pistols and mimic my buddy Jeff, and I guess whatever.
Speaking
You know
of
what?
poops,
I'm gonna take this energy, and I'm just gonna go. You know
funnel.
what? That's
Yeah.
cool.
Redirect.
Whatever.
Bruce
I'm
Lee
good.
Daly over there. All
I'm
right.
fine. Thanks for asking.
Speaking about the stench of flatulence, the Air Force Academy has busted 249 airmen for cheating on exams and other assignments during the rapid shift to remote learning during the early days of coronavirus. In a Friday release, the Academy said those cadets suspected of violating the school's honor code in a variety of ways, from failing to properly cite sources and looking up answers on unauthorized tutoring websites while taking exams to completing final exams in small groups. Your Air Force Academy people, like, isn't it like super, super difficult to get in there? Who thought this was a good idea? Jeff, what do you got?
Well, if I wanted to stick up for them, it'd be a lawyer. I would say that they were exemplifying the true meaning of teamwork by doing their exams in small groups. But
That's your defense?
yeah, that's all I can come up with. Okay. It is kind of a shame. It is kind of a shame that one of our academies, which are supposed to be the epitome of military virtues, all of them, whatever
integrity,
whatever those
honor,
are, all those words, and it's a shame that those who are supposed to really lead the way by example throughout their careers and lives, they didn't just let their military down, they didn't just let their country and family down, they let themselves down. And that's the true crime to me, is that they let themselves down. And hopefully we can correct. That's a lot of people in a class. In a class, by the way, 249. Those classes aren't. I mean, it's not like a huge University of Florida with 8 bajillion people in it. It's a smaller, select group of people. And if you lose 249, and then I just have to wonder, what is going on that 249 people who got accepted to a military academy all did this? Like, it would be a small story if they said, yeah, these three cadets did this, and they got booted. 249? You have a problem.
I think they have a huge problem, and quite frankly, I'm glad they got caught. I mean, I know that's like, I know, snitches get stitches, and, Blue Falcon and all that. I mean, God, I was military police. I get it. I know all of the things. So the thing is when you have 249 people who don't believe that what they're doing is wrong, and they don't think that there are any consequences, what that does is then that inflates throughout their career, and then they think that they're untouchable because of rank.
Yeah.
And at this point in time, I think this is a great turning point for lessons to be learned and really figure out if this is the place they want to be, if they cannot embody integrity as a part of their value system. So, yeah, you know what? Way to go, Air Force cadets.
I got 2 thoughts. The first is the crime is bad. Getting caught is worse. Thinking you are going to get away with it in your small group of 249 friends is insane. Insane. And the second thing is the transformation in the last 10 minutes from Reverend Elijah Jeff Daly to Daniel Tiger Daly is astonishing. I don't want to let that pass. Jeff, your range of emotion so far today is astonishing.
Wow.
Sir, I applaud you.
Somebody get this man an award.
I mean, yeah, we're
sending it in the mail.
The magnitude of what he's doing here, people, is miraculous. This is Tiger Woods in the Masters right now. All right. Space Force has a new rank structure. The military's newest service spelled out what its rank structure will be as of February 1 in a memo signed Friday, which immediately began leaking on the internet. Who would have thought? Those advocating for Space Force to adopt a rank structure patterned after the Navy, most notably by Captain Kirk himself, William Shatner, or something even more fanciful and spacefaring, will be sorely disappointed. With a few exceptions, the Space Force ranks structure closely resembles the Air Force from which it derived. The officer rank structure for Space Force Guardians, as they are now known, will be the same as that used for the Air Force, Army, Marine Corps, ranging from second lieutenants to 4-star generals. I don't know if you guys have had the pleasure of seeing the shoulder epaulets for the highest enlisted soldier in the Space Force, but it's about 2 feet long. It is the craziest thing I've ever seen. But Jeff, what do you got on this one?
I think it's hilarious what you just said. I mean, I shop at the Los Angeles Air Force Base, and I see some of these ranks. I'm just like, oh my God, there's more chevrons than there are gas stations of any name in Los Angeles. It's just so long and kind of ridiculous. I also found that they've really, on the lower end of the enlisted, have just went, eh. Yeah. They're all specialists. E1
Specialist
to
1,
E4.
Specialist 2, Specialist 3, Specialist 4.
Like, you don't matter until you hit E5. But at least, and then it's going to be weird because they share space with the Air Force a lot. They're on the same bases. And E5 in the Air Force is a staff sergeant.
Right.
In E5 in the Space Force, they're like, we're getting rid of the staff. You're just a sergeant now. So they're going to... It's just so confusing to me. It doesn't make any sense. In fairness,
that's the way it is in the Army. So
no, but if another branch derived from the Army, you can't look at them and their uniforms are very similar. And you're a staff sergeant and you're a sergeant, same pay rate. But it's strange. Man, I will say this: my favorite part of reading that article was clicking on the link to hear Captain Kirk. I don't know. I'm blanking on his name right now. William Shatner. He goes through the history of science fiction and all of the great achievements of people with the title of captain have made, and then he goes through and then like the in space like Major Nelson screw up and Colonel Klink screw up. Just in those realms, you go with the Navy, and it's a ship. They're going to be on ships eventually. Everything I've seen that's in space has Navy ranks. And if you go to the story that's in our show notes, please click on William Shatner's response.
I'm looking at it now. Oh my goodness.
Read it in his voice.
Savage.
If this wasn't rapid fire, I would really like to go into the video that Jeff and I watched of the angry drill sergeant ridiculing the Space Force basic training, because there was one guy struggling to climb a rope, and I'm just wondering what scenario would involve the Space Force Guardian trying to climb a rope. But even better was where Space Force Guardians were running an entry control point. I don't know how you run an entry control point in space, but it's gotta be spectacular. All right, let's move on to story number 3 here. The Department of Defense pauses the plan to give the COVID-19 vaccine to GITMO prisoners. I don't even need to read the story. That's the story right there. The DoD paused giving the COVID vaccine to GITMO prisoners. Ashley, we'll start with you on this one. What do you think of this?
I do not understand. I'm still, as a public health professional, communications professional, I get confused. Not to say that they're not deserving of vaccines, but there are teachers. There is a huge logistical problem of other high-risk folks, percentages broken down in this country that need access to vaccines. Yes, I understand you got to vaccine the prisons. I understand the ecosystem of said prisons and how disease can spread more rapidly in a close confined space. Okay, fine. If you're going to vaccinate them, just vaccinate them and get it done with. Check the box, make it happen. But to stop and stall and say now some got it and some different, now you're looking at inequalities from that perspective. I still think we got a huge logistical problem on our hands in this country when it comes to vaccine distribution and building trust in vaccines. So if you have not gotten a vaccine, you have an opportunity to get a vaccine. Get a vaccine, people. Save lives. Do it for your family.
Do we know anyone who's gotten the vaccine?
I know my husband has. There's your reference.
Jeffrey has
Jeffrey
gotten it.
has, yeah.
He is up. So what do you got on this one, Jeff?
I'm curious what our responsibility is because those are foreign prisoners from the Geneva Convention.
Yeah.
I'm wondering our responsibility is to protect their health and well-being while under our care is for lack of a better word. I'm no lawyer and I don't know anything about that. So, but that's the question that I had while reading it, while having the same concerns that Ashley did, that there's so many, the doses they're not infinite by any means. They're too finite right now. And, I am concerned about where we are distributing them, but then the thing that popped in my head is, do we have an internationally legal responsibility to those prisoners?
Yeah, the lawyer in me says, hey, they're under our control and we've got to give them the best we can. But at the same time, like, we can't get kids back into schools in Chicago until all the teachers are vaccinated, but we're going to worry about Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. Like, I'm actually more curious as to why this was even discussed.
Yeah.
We don't discuss anything about the GITMO prisoners on any level, but we're having this public. They have not gone to trial. I went to GITMO, I think it's like 10 years ago, to listen to esoteric and awesome debates about the legal ethics of all these things. And when I got there, the discussion for the week I was there was one of the accused could not be present in the courtroom because he had diarrhea. And the question was he involuntarily absent or voluntarily absent? And they spent a week discussing whether this guy with the runs was not in court because he couldn't be there or because he didn't want to be there. We're 20 years on now. We still have not brought these guys to trial. And yet, for some inexplicable reason, we're discussing their COVID vaccinations in the public. Like, how about we just do something? This seems like a lot of chiefs, not enough Indians. It's like 60 guys total. We lost 240 the other day in Seattle when somebody left a refrigerator unplugged. I don't know. It's just, we got bigger fish to fry than this whole thing. But why everyone's asking about the GITMO guy? Like, I haven't spared a half a second of thought about these GITMO guys in years. I don't know why anyone cares.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Can you reference your reference? I think Jeff may have that.
The refrigerator open?
Didn't you hear about this one? It's happened a couple places now where they forget, they leave the COVID things out and then they spoil.
You're referring to the vaccine.
Okay. But there was
I
one guy.
To, like, people. Like,
no. There was one guy
about.
there was one subcontractor who unplugged a refrigerator to vacuum or something, and the whole batch went up. And I was like, that was enough to do 7 GITMOs. Like, how about, that's a bigger story to me than whether these knuckleheads are going to get the vaccine. I don't care. But here's another one about COVID vaccine, which it was more interesting to me. And that's COVID-19 vaccine being refused by some U.S. troops, the Pentagon says. While countless Americans are anxiously awaiting their chance to get vaccinated against the novel coronavirus, COVID-19, an unspecified number of service members and other Defense Department personnel have refused to get inoculated, defense officials said. Here's a quote from the Air Force Brigadier General Paul Fredericks, Joint Staff Surgeon. "We are not compelling people to take a vaccine. This is truly something that they have to volunteer for, and we've been very careful to adhere to, not just the letter, but the intent of the guidance that's put on them from the emergency use authorization." Jeff, what do you think on this one?
At first I was thinking I didn't have any idea what they were putting in me ever. So it wasn't about giving consent. But then as I actually read the article and things, and it seems that it was about the fact that it's an emergency approval, not a final approval from the FDA. Once it's final, they may compel people to actually do it. But right now, I think it's a jurisdiction or authority limitation thing as to why they cannot compel. They're not doing it because people are going, vaccines don't work. They're doing it because they can't.
Yeah. Ashley, what did you think?
I completely agree with Jeff. I think that's exactly what's going on. And because it is under this specific write-up, it's not an official approved FDA they're leaving it to they're leaving it to the volunteers. At some point, it will, it's not going to be, it's going to be involuntary. They're going to be like, hey, passed. We've got all these trials. We've got all these different distributors. This is legit. We're trying to, make sure everyone's taken care of. Just like I had to stand in line and, got my anthrax shots and my smallpox and all the other stuff they put inside me, right? Like, I'm not an anti-vaxxer by any stance, but like, I would like, yeah, I want the vaccine because of everything's going on in my knowledge base. But for those who don't know, it's because of the way that this is set up as an emergency rather than everything has been officially approved by FDA.
I'm not a big fan of the strong hand of the government, but I got news for you. When you join the military, you kind of don't have an option there. People you're going to live in a bay with 65 other people or whatever. Everyone's got to be inoculated. It's not going to do any good. The last thing you need is a 20% casualty rate for some disease that could have been taken by a shot. Does that mean bad things don't happen? I think the people of Tuskegee would be happy to tell you that you can't trust your government wholeheartedly. So, but that's a personal decision everyone's going to have to make. But at the end of the day, it's something you're going to have to do.
I'm curious, Mark. Did we do this story, or did you and I just talk about the story where the military DoD said if someone has had COVID that they can't?
Yeah, we talked about it. You couldn't join it afterwards, and we actually
indefinitely so far.
Yeah, we talked to that doctor. Remember, we asked him about it, Dr. Kermit. And I haven't heard an update, but that is some.
So I mean, if you have
our White House press secretary might say, I'll circle back on that one.
if you have career military aspirations, you might want to take that shot.
Yeah,
because
I would take it. I'm a fairly trusting individual, but I mean, you only have to trust them once and get hammered on it, and it's not going to turn out good. But you know what? I guess if everybody gets screwed over, everybody gets screwed over. I'd be kind of happier to be in that bag than just being on the outside looking in. All right, let's go to shout-outs. I'm going to start today because I do have one. It's from my my Department of South Dakota people. And I'm not just saying this because I want to get a trip to South Dakota, although that is at least 80% of the reason I'm doing a shout-out to Courtney Van Zanten, the DSO up there in South Dakota, and all the other people. South Dakota is one of my favorite states. But this flabbergasted me, and it's about 3 people. James Black of Yankton Post 12, Richard Herkes of Codington County Post 17, and Earl Dami of Rapid City Footlands Post 320. Why am I mentioning these 3 people? They each are 77-year members of the American Legion this year. 77-year members. I mean, I can't. If I had to do the math, that's like 241 combined years from 3 people. That's crazy. There's no way I'm going to live to 77, much less 77 years in the American Legion. But bless you, James Black, Richard Herkes, and Earl Dami, who all joined, I believe it said, in 1946. So South Dakota, keep doing you, and be sure to invite me up. And when this podcast gets big, we're going to do a live show from Mount Rushmore or something. Wouldn't that be awesome?
That'd be very cool.
We'll watch Jeff rappel off Lincoln's nose or something. It's going to be great. All right, shout out. How about you, Jeff?
All right, I do have a shout out. I also wanted to make sure that if people out there don't think they know who Courtney Van Zanten is, they know who Courtney Van Zanten is. She's all over the Legion's website when they talk about service officers. It's her picture. As a matter of fact, sometimes when I watch this podcast, when you do your diddle-it thing, there's a picture of her, and they're talking about service officers. So everyone knows South Dakota. Okay, my shout out goes to the Booth Bay Vets, which stands for Veterans Emergency Temporary Shelter. It was started by Charles E. Sherman Jr., Post 36 Legionnaires, Ed Harmon, Arthur Richardson, and John Hargraves. It's Post 36 in Maine, the Charles E. Sherman Jr. Hey, Maine, what's up?
All right, Maine.
So these guys they did even more than write a resolution. They thought of they thought Maine is brutally cold. We have homeless vets out there, don't want them to be frozen popsicles on the side of the street. So they're building these temporary shelters. They got together, they made the prototype themselves, and they had if we build it, they will come kind of thought process, and the donations started pouring in, and they will transport these things all over Maine. So far, the farthest they've done is 100 miles from where they're building them. They are out there doing the work, and I applaud this Charles E. Sherman Jr. Post 36 post in Maine for saving lives and being awesome.
Wow.
That's it.
Guys, this is
and they're in Maine, which is that's another place we need to go. I think we all need to go. Northern Maine. We'll go on a
helicopter ride.
No, we're gonna go
In the fall.
snowmobiling. We're gonna do a live show on the back of a snowmobile. Hi, Ashley. Do you have a shout out?
I have a shout out, but it's kind of more of a challenge.
Okay.
So I know you're all so intrigued. So in the spirit of sea shanties, I would like to challenge any of our more musical posts to make a shanty and reach out to us and share and tag the podcast. I just think that would be super great. Maybe we'll leave some more details in the cliff notes, Holly. But I think it would be really great just to kind of show some camaraderie and allow some of the posts to get super creative. And I know we've got musical folks, so...
Holly, she beat me to it. I was just going to say, this is like a shout out to Tonawanda, which is not just the most fun thing to say. It's the Legion band that's always like in the top 2 or 3.
Yes.
Tonawanda is where it's at. I think
Yes.
it's near Buffalo. I don't honestly know. People in Buffalo rock anyway. There is nothing not to love about Buffalo. Buffalo's the greatest. They jump through flaming picnic tables, man.
So much
There's
love to
nothing
give today,
better.
Mark. So much love.
I do have a lot.
A lot of
I like
love.
Cold. I like cold places. I like South Dakota. I like Maine. Love Buffalo. People of Buffalo, nicest people in the world. Love them.
Yes.
Wow.
So
Wow.
my challenge / shout out is to any of our Legion bands out there. Obviously, we're not going to be able to get together in a traditional fashion and parade and, have our sound offs or music offs or whatever we're calling them anymore. I just think it would be a cool challenge, and I'd love to see what you all have up your sleeve. Creativity matters, and maybe we can do some really cool stories, and when things clear up, we can come out and we can do that shanty with you in person with the podcast. I don't know. I think it'd be cool.
And no matter what kind of language you use in your sea shanty, I would encourage it because I will get it past the National Judge Advocate. I will get down on bended knee and beg him, no matter what language you use in your sea shanty.
Well, let's just take that with a grain of salt and look at our show notes for more information on how to, submit that wonderful shanty. So, cool little challenge for our folks.
Ashley, your ability to read updates from super producer Holly is unparalleled.
Thank
and
you.
I applaud you.
I am
More
skilled.
more love. All right, so for my last bit of love, don't forget to subscribe to the Tango Alpha Lima podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. When you're there, don't forget to rate us, preferably with 5 stars, and leave us a review. You can also send us feedback and love notes at tangoalphalima.org. Jeff Daly, do you have any last thoughts on the love letter portion? Because I know we're still searching. We're looking, looking for nub in all the wrong places.
I don't have anything to say, but I will say it in this voice.
Ooh.
Oh,
Hello, ladies.
What is that? Your James Earl Jones voice? What is that?
Yes.
That's your creepy uncle calling voice. That's what that is. Chef. Yeah. Hi. I'm not going to go down the chef route, but that's it. That's a good callback. All right, folks. We will see you next week. Thank you for joining us. Bye.